I didn't mean you're not enough like a verdict. I meant it like a test. I wanted Kareem to argue with me in the kitchen. Hands on the counter, voice low. That focus he gets when he's assembling furniture without the manual. I wanted him to say, "Of course I'm enough," and pull me into that big-chested hug that makes worry feel like static. I wanted fireworks without breaking glass. Instead, he took a breath, set the dish towel on the oven handle like he was lining up a putt, and said, "Thank you for telling me the truth you're willing to say out loud." Then he added, so gently it made my stomach drop, "I'm not going to argue for my sufficiency." For a second I thought he was making a speech. He wasn't. He was leaving. "We'll keep this clean," he said, like a promise to the room. "I'll email you tonight with logistics. Lease utilities. Please don't call. Email only. Kareem." I reached for his wrist. He didn't flinch. He just placed my hand back on the counter the way you set a glass down so it doesn't chip. "I'm not angry," he said. "I'm done." He put his spare key on the little ceramic dish my sister bought us, slipped his wallet and phone into his jacket, and walked out with nothing but his dignity. The door didn't slam. The latch clicked softly because he's the kind of man who tightens screws on the strike plate when doors sound tired. Here is the part where I tell you why I said it. I'm Layla. 31. I've had the kind of glow-up people pretend is self-love when it's really a rebrand. A new haircut that finally understood my face, an Instagram of matching sets and sunrise reels, a raise I celebrated by buying shoes with an inch of status in the heel. I joined a Pilates studio where everyone says lengthen, and no one eats bread at the tasting menus they post. Kareem is 34. He's a civil engineer who likes right angles and repairing what you can instead of replacing it. He mists our monsteras like they're pets. He keeps a weirdly satisfying toolbox, a label maker, a stud finder, little bags of screws organized by size. He can carry 6 grocery bags in one hand but will still walk back to get the 7th, so the bread doesn't smush. He holds my mother's Tupperware lids up to the light and matches them by fit, not color, because color lies. He is not flashy. He is, if we're honest, the kind of good you don't notice until you say something unforgivable and the room goes quiet. I didn't wake up and choose cruelty. I slid into it, one compliment at a time. The more the world told me I was thriving, the more Kareem started to feel like a soft couch in a house full of mirrors. When attention became a vitamin, home felt like a diet. I convinced myself I needed bigger to feel alive. I watched couples on TikTok talk about expansive love and energetic compatibility, and I translated that into, I could do better, you know? So I told him he wasn't enough, expecting him to roar. He refused the script. At 9:11 p.m., the email arrived. Subject: lease/utilities/next steps. I'll move in with my cousin for now. You keep the apartment through the end of the month. I'll remove my card from utilities on the 1st. Links below to add yours before then to avoid interruption. We're month to month. If you want to keep the place, you can. If not, I'll send the 30-day notice form. Please sign by the 15th to avoid fees. I'll pick up my things Saturday 10 to 12 with a friend. No need to be home. If that window doesn't work, reply with 2 alternatives. Please don't contact me outside email. I won't respond to texts, calls, or messages relayed through friends. No smith. If people ask, incompatibility is accurate. He signed with his initial K. The way you sign when you're maximizing clarity and minimizing tenderness. I did exactly what you think I did. Called, texted, voicemail, green bubbles. A DM I knew he wouldn't see because he's off social most of the time. 3 drafts of an apology that started with, I didn't mean it, and slid into, I didn't mean it like that. I slept 2 hours, woke up with a headache that felt like a sentence, and tried to figure out how to make an outcome I could live inside. By noon the next day, my mother knew. Moms have a nose for seismic activity. She stood in our kitchen with her hands on my cheeks and asked, in Arabic first and then English because she wanted my whole brain to hear it. Habibti, why would you slice the bread you eat? It sounds better in Arabic. She wasn't being poetic. She was being practical. Why make life harder than it needs to be? I didn't think he'd actually leave, I said, which is the kind of truth that exposes all your ugliness in one short line. She looked at me with that combination of mercy and disbelief reserved for daughters who learned lessons late. You told a good man he wasn't enough, she said. He listened. Saturday at 10 o'clock sharp, Kareem came with his friend Imran. I wasn't there, per the email. When I came home at 1:30, his side of the closet was empty, his drawer's gentle wooden slide suddenly loud without weight. On the table sat a neat list titled Division. Shared items with boxes marked yours, mine, or donate. He'd taken his tool chest, the chest set his grandfather carved, and the black raincoat I always stole. He'd left the cast iron, yours. It seasoned your way. The big colander, mine. I bought it for my pasta obsession. And the wine glasses, even numbers. 4 and 4-inch. In the ceramic dish by the door, his key sat in a Ziploc with a sticky note. USPS has forwarding on my name. Write forwarding in place on anything that slips through. He made leaving idiot-proof. I reached for the habit of triangulation. I texted his sister, Rana, who I have brunch history with, who has cried on my shoulder about men who ghost. Can we talk? I just want to make sure he's okay. Her reply, he's safe. Please don't ask me to break his boundary. Period. She added, because she is gracious even when she is steel, I'm rooting for you to grow. Grow. The worst verb. It makes you responsible for your own pain. Work kept happening the way trains do. Monday morning my manager asked for a deck. My phone buzzed on the desk, a string of new follower notifications because my Sunday reset reel of sliced cucumber and labeled storage bins had hit the algorithm just right. It felt obscene, people praising my little efficiencies while the big one. Keep the man who loved you. Sat in pieces on my kitchen floor. On Tuesday, I caved and sent Kareem a long email with the subject I spoke cruelly because I was afraid. I wrote about fear of becoming my parents. Their good marriage that looks like a routine from far away and like a miracle up close. I wrote about attention as a drug, about thinking enough meant spectacle. I said I was sorry in sentences that actually meant it, no phrases like, if I hurt you because if was a lie. He replied the next day with 8 words, received. I don't want a postmortem. Be well. He did not block email. He blocked everything else. WhatsApp. 1 gray check. iMessage. Green bubbles. Instagram. User not found. Even the shared grocery list app said collaborator removed in the kind of neutral voice computers used to announce death. He didn't rage interact with my life. He disappeared from it like closing a tab. Our friends divided into camps. The brunch girls who said, okay, but have you considered you're a baddie who deserves a man who worships you? I had. It hadn't helped. The aunties, who gave me tea, and the blank stare of women who have endured actual problems. The messy neutrals, who texted WID at 2 a.m. The best ones showed up with real things, a spreadsheet to track utilities. I added my card to all of them that night, a baked ziti in a foil pan. Eat this. You're not special enough to fast your way through a heartbreak. And a short, unflinching promise. I will sit with you while you do not text him. The first week, I kept telling myself Kareem needed time. The second, I told myself he was processing. The third, I understood that blocked wasn't a tactic, it was a boundary. He was not waiting for my perfect paragraph. He was building a life that didn't have to bend to my panic. Then came the friends of friends. A mutual from his pickup soccer team DM'd me, he seems good. Lighter. I wanted to bite that word. Lighter than me, implying I was ballast. Another mutual, Imran's girlfriend, ran into me at a coffee shop and did that careful tilt head thing. We miss you, she said, and then added, we're also proud of him. I nodded like an adult and cried in the bathroom after, the pathetic hiccup sob of someone who knows they're not the protagonist in this episode. The first time I saw him after, I didn't mean to. He crossed the street outside the hardware store carrying a potted snake plant and a bag of anchors. He looked like he always looks, clean sneakers, neat beard, calm. He saw me. He didn't look through me. He didn't make a show of not looking. He lifted his chin, neighborly acknowledgement. I lifted my hand the same way, my body suddenly remembering a million ordinary gestures we used to give each other without thinking. He kept walking. I stood there, and held my breath until the crosswalk beeped. At night, the sentence looped. You're not enough for me anymore. You can't put it back in your mouth. You can't hide from it in your own sheets. You can only learn why you wanted to say it. Here's the truth underneath the pretty words. I wanted to feel chosen by everybody and still keep the person who makes sure the window's close right before a storm. I wanted fireworks and the fuse kept lit by a man who would wait with a bucket, just in case. I wanted to test the door and then turn around and find him still there, holding it. And when he didn't perform the scene, I called it cold instead of what it was, adult. I tried one more time. I wrote a letter on paper like I could time travel. I told him I loved him, that enough had never been the point, that love isn't a measuring cup. I put it in an envelope with no return address and walked around the block 3 times. Then I tore it in half and put it in the brown bin. Not because I'm noble. Because every attempt to script his response made me look smaller to myself. My mother asked if I wanted her to talk to the families, which is a very Middle Eastern way of approaching heartbreak. I said no. My father, who never interferes, sat with me one afternoon and told me a story about telling his boss, I am enough, and then realizing he wasn't talking about job performance, he was talking about dignity. A person who refuses to be begged is not punishing you, he said. He is protecting himself. 3 months later, I saw an Instagram story of Kareem at a friend's barbecue. Not posted by him, posted by someone else. He was laughing with a woman I didn't recognize, her curls like a halo, her hand on a salad bowl. The camera panned too fast for me to read anything into anything. I didn't DM the poster. I put my phone face down and folded towels because a thing my therapist taught me is that repetitive tasks can keep you from relapsing into humiliation. Did he win? If the scorecard includes kindness, yes. He won by not auditioning for the role I tried to cast him in. The angry man, the jealous ex, the safety net who snaps back after you bounce on it. He won by writing one clear email instead of 20 flammable texts. He won by blocking channels that would turn his life into my emergency room. He won by moving on, not by moving against. I am trying to live with the math I made. I pay the utilities on time. I show up to the Pilates studio without filming it. I stopped flirting for sport with men who treat attention like a currency exchange. When a coworker said, "You've got options, babe," I said, "Options aren't love," and surprised us both. If I get another chance to do it right, I'm going to remember that enough is not a feeling I extract from someone else with threats. It's a commitment I make out loud, to the person who buys anchors so the shelves hold. I will not test with cruelty and call it honesty. I will not call spectacle aliveness. I will aim to be the boring kind of brave. Introduce him in every room. Delete the adjectives that humiliate. Say, "I'm scared" instead of "you're lacking." Kareem will never read this. If he did, he'd send one of those exact emails. Received. Wishing you well. Then he'd go mist his plants and measure a wall for a shelf, and carry on building a life that doesn't require me to perform pain to stay inside it. And me? I'm finally learning to sit still in a room that doesn't clap, to make a dinner for one that tastes like respect, to say the sentence I meant the first time and was too cowardly to say. I was afraid, and you deserved better than my fear dressed up as a standard. He kept his shape. I'm rediscovering mine, without an audience.